Welcome in. This is the second cut. It is live from the Ryder Cup, and we've got Friday in the books. I'm Rick Gehman. Greg DuCharme is here. Gregers, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Rick. It's finally here. We've been talking about this for 2 years. Who should be on the team? Who should be off the team? Who should we play together? And now we got 2 sessions in the books. As Keegan Bradley said afterwards, it's only the first quarter. But boy, this is quite a quarter.
Plenty of blue on the board. We'll talk about that. But before I do, lots of second cutters out here.
All right.
Yeah, Kyle, Kevin, others who I apologize, I never got your name. But yes, it is. We are out in full force here on Long Island, which is very nice.
Well, I'm not surprised because I know one thing about second cutters, they are true and loyal golf fans.
That's right.
And you're not going to miss an event like this.
No, who would? You know who else is not going to miss an event like this? The President of the United States, who I'll tell you what, Greg, they told us that we were going to have to go through TSA style security today. It was not TSA style. It was TSA. Like TSA was here, like
wow,
patting us down, going through the metal detectors. There were Secret Service everywhere. There were snipers. Like it was kind of bizarre, quite honestly.
That is intense for a golf event, first of all. And I totally understand it. I mean, you have, 50,000 people were expected there today on a huge piece of property. It's I'm sure the Secret Service was like, this is a big deal. We got to put together a pretty big plan for this.
The Secret Service is like, this is a bad idea. This is like, we got to figure this out. Yeah, it was the way they did it is they had, so the grandstand that wraps around 1 and 18, that was basically like the secure zone. So like anytime you went in and out of that, you were basically going through TSA security. If you were staying on the rest of the course, it was the normal security that you would go through for a regular event. But even that felt very much ramped up, and they had dogs out there and stuff that we had not seen in previous days. But that's the way they did it. I can't imagine the logistical nightmare that is.
Yeah, absolutely. But fortunately, it seems like everything went okay. There were no security issues that I'm aware of, and everything seemed to work out great. So you got in, you got out, and we're now we got a Ryder Cup to talk about.
The only security issues were keeping the Europeans off the board. No,
that was a security issue.
The other thing, and I see it in the comments. I can't speak to this. Apparently, the coverage was bad. What was it? What was it? Commercial load, missing shots. Was it actually as bad as the comments are making it out to be?
Well, I mean, a couple of things happened that were not ideal. One is Ben Griffin made a 45-foot putt in a playing through. And Justin Rose answered with a 45-foot putt in playing through. That kind of thing is just, it's unavoidable. Early on there were some shots that were missed, which, look, this is it's difficult to piece all this together. I know there's only 8. A lot of the complaints that I read were there's only 8 players out there. How can you miss a shot? From the broadcast perspective, you don't know when they're going to hit them, and you can't be in more than one place at once. So I do understand it to a degree. At the same time, I understand the frustration because there were a lot of commercials, and it did feel like all of a sudden somebody's in the fair. You missed the tee shot, or they're he's putting to win the hole, and they're already in for par, and we didn't see any of that. So I understand the frustration as well.
Okay, fair. I would not recommend anybody do this, but I definitely would not recommend us getting like ExpressVPN as a sponsor and going in and setting your location for London. And I definitely wouldn't recommend like signing up for a Sky Sports trial. And I definitely wouldn't recommend watching it that way, where there's very limited commercials and they don't miss a thing. I definitely would not recommend that. So we're just gonna have to go. It's gonna be fine, Greg. We're just gonna have to be okay with it, I think.
Yeah, I saw some people say the coverage was vastly different, but again, I would not recommend that either.
Okay, fair enough. No recommendations being made here. Let's get into this. The emotional team of Bryson DeChambeau and Justin Thomas were out in full force this morning at 7 o'clock on the first tee. Bryson DeChambeau, arm in arm with Justin Thomas, an American flag around their backs. DeChambeau ripping one over the corner of the dog leg on number one, and they make birdie out of the gate on Tyrrell Hatton and Jon Rahm, Greg. The place was lit. The only problem was that that was the only hole they won for the rest of the match.
They end up losing 4 and 3.
Mm.
Okay, they make 2 more birdies, one at number 4, one at 14. The Europeans made 5 and became very difficult to beat. We knew this team, Tyrrell Hatton and Jon Rahm, would be difficult to beat. We knew that. But I look at it this way. Why would you put Bryson and Justin Thomas together first? Well, if you were a captain, why would they be your first out, Rick?
I would say for the emotion of it, for the juice of it.
I would totally agree.
Okay.
And it seems to me that the American strategy was to play into the emotion of a New York crowd and get a New York crowd going. But I can't for the life of me figure out why, if that's the strategy, why we would start with foursome play. Where, first of all, there's way less birdies made.
Yes.
Second of all, we tend to struggle in foursome play. It's a really hard format for us. And it just felt like a setup for a letdown. Then, I mean, you can question whether JT and Bryson are ideal foursome partners. You can question that up and down. I mean, I know if you look at optimal pairings, statistically optimized pairings, the Europeans had all 8 of those players out there, mostly together.
Right.
And the Americans had none. In fact, 3 of their optimal players are sitting on the bench. And I know, like, only 1 rookie plays. The last man picked sits. 3 rookies and the last man picked sits. This feels like, hey, you know, we're making our decisions based on emotion as well. And the Europeans are making their decisions based on data, mostly on data.
Yeah.
Imagine everything we do, everything these professional golfers do, and what we do in our lives is try to optimize things.
Mm-hmm.
You know this. Like, you go get fit for a driver, and they tell you that this is the best driver for you. You are going to play with some confidence, at least early on. You get the best putter for you. You are going to make some putts early on. But we don't look at our pairings that way.
We just look at it and say, who's your buddy? Who do you want to play with?
This might work.
This might work, yeah. Hope is the strategy out of the American team room. Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton now 3-0 in alternate shot in foursomes. Jon Rahm, we'll get to it, I think was the MVP of the day. Looked like a big-time alpha. Off to a slow start. They didn't win their first hole until the 7th, but they won the 7th and the 8th, and there was no looking back after that.
No, they add birdies at 12, 13, and 14, and then you go ahead and win the 15th as well. They were just simply tough to beat, and while they weren't hot early, they made JT and Bryson make birdies to beat them, and those were unfortunately few and far between. Bryson and JT, their iron play was expected. Justin Thomas didn't play very well in the morning. And if in that pairing you're kind of relying on JT to answer Bryson's drives, you know, that's how this should go, right? Bryson hits a tee shot, JT knocks it close, Bryson makes the putt. That's what you're thinking when you make that pairing. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way, and I don't think the Europeans try to build a perfect golfer. It seems like we try to build a perfect golfer.
4-3 in the first group out. That's 1 point for the Europeans. Well, don't have no fear, Greg, because Scotty Scheffler, number one player in the world, is going out in the second group. He's going out with Russell Henley. They are the biggest favorites on the United States sides. They're like minus 180 against Ludwig Oberg and Matt Fitzpatrick. Ludwig's only in his second Ryder Cup, and Fitzpatrick's 1-7 in his career. What could possibly go wrong except for everything? Only 2 holes won by the Americans. Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley get drubbed 5-3 by Ludwig and Fitz.
Well, this is one when you look at it on paper, you expect Scotty and Henley to go win. But the odd thing here, again, going back to the data, you got Russell Henley teeing off on the odd holes when data suggests your longer hitter starts on the odd holes. That's an odd thing for me. That, you know, number one is such a easy hole. But that's because all the long hitters are hitting the tee shots and they're hitting it up there to 30 yards.
Right.
Scotty Scheffler's in the rough with a full wedge in there, and they're not able to make birdie. They get down early. And then, I mean, on the other side of it, while they didn't play very well, Henley or Scotty, Ludwig Oberg and Matt Fitzpatrick get on a absolute tear.
Yep.
They go on they start shredding, and they make 7 birdies in foursome play. That's tough to beat, no matter what.
We'll talk about Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley and what you do with them more, but that's now point number 2 in very decisive fashion for the Europeans. And the common thread here appears to be almost self-inflicted wounds. We sat here on what would that have been, Thursday night, last night, and looked at this Colin Morikawa Harris English pairing and said, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Are they smarter than us? Do they know something that we don't know? These guys are going to get absolutely destroyed. They go up against Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood, and like the entire world saw coming, Rory and Tommy smoked them 5-4. I don't get it. I still don't get it. They were never competitive in this match whatsoever. They were in their pocket for most of it. I don't know what happened. This is now 3-0 Europe.
Yeah, I mean, they played really well, Rory and Fleetwood, right? They make 5 birdies in their first 8 holes. That's tough to hang with in foursome play. But at the same time, you send out, the Americans send out their statistically worst possible pairing. Now, look, I'm not saying you should go 100% statistics here. But when you start putting these pieces together, and you have 3 of the 8 optimal players for foursome sitting on the bench, and your worst possible pairing out there, if there was an advantage to be had for the Americans, we gave it away before the tournament even started. And that's really disappointing to me. I understand losing to a team making 5 birdies in the first 8 holes in foursomes. I get that, but we got to put up a fight. There's no fight here and no chance of it. I mean, Colin Morikawa is struggling coming in. He's one of the guys with a big question mark, and we'll get to this when we talk about 4-ball play, but when the Europeans have questions about one of their players, they have a totally different strategy on how to handle them than we do. So that'll come up again a little bit later on.
We are on the verge of a clean sweep for the Europeans. The final group, the final match, Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay revive their great partnership, and they go up against a new one in Victor Hovland and Robert McIntyre. This is tied going to the 17th hole. Cantlay and Schauffele win the 17th to guarantee the half a point, and they win the 18th to secure the full point. So that dynamic duo does indeed get the job done, but a session that ends 3-1 for the Europeans this morning.
Thank goodness for Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. They are great players. They're a great team, a team that we very clearly need, and they had red on the board this entire match, which we needed badly. Now they were 3 up through 11. It looked like this first session there was going to be a nice long lunch break for these guys because the matches, the first 3 matches barely got across the road. But the the
by,
Euro-
by the way, so if you don't know what you're talking, so at Bethpage, after the first hole, you go across the road, and holes 2 through 14 are on the other side of the road before you come back. So the only holes that are on this side of the road are 1, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So Greg is referring to the fact that these matches are barely getting to 15.
yeah, I mean, we saw this was the first match we saw the 16th hole. And by the time it was on 16, we're tied. We were 3 up through 11. All of a sudden, it's tied. Hovland and McIntyre showed some fight, and it was looking like it was going to be a sweep. So fortunately, there was great resolve by Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay. We get out of here 3-1, and now we go into our stronger session. You know, those players that were left on the bench are now going to have an opportunity to come out in the afternoon and get us back into this thing. We saw this before in Paris. The Americans led 3-1 after the first session, and then there was a sweep in the second session for the Europeans, hoping on U.S. soil we could do the same in the afternoon.
Yeah, this is not the end of the world. 3-1, you know, you don't get bonus points for winning 5 and 4, winning 1 up, right? I mean, it might be emotionally, but it's still 1 point in your quest towards 14 or 14 and a half. And a 3-1 in a format that you're not particularly great at, it's not the end of the world. You just have to go out and win in 4-ball. So we turn our attention to 4-ball, and now we get a couple of these new pairings, guys that sat in the morning coming out and playing. We're seeing some more rookies, and we're seeing the #1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler, go out first, this time alongside JJ Spaun. And for the second consecutive session, it's Jon Rahm who is going to lead the way for the Europeans. This time it's Rahm and Sepp Straka. So Scheffler, Spaun, Rahm, Straka. Similar story, Greg. I mean, I could just run this right back. Spaun birdies the first hole. The Americans go 1 up. They do not win another hole. And Sepp Straka and Jon Rahm beat Scheffler and Spaun 3-2.
A lot of attention. It seems like we put a lot of attention on the first hole, right? Like this was going to be the key to the whole thing. Could we win #1? It's really not a pivotal hole at all. It's first of all, the farthest from the clubhouse, not in distance, but in time. And it's an easy hole. And you're not quite going to drive the green like we saw from Bryson. So you don't really have that big of an opportunity to separate. Well, we played it well, and J.J. Spaun got off to a good start, thank goodness. Scottie Scheffler was nowhere to be found, which I think was a little disappointing early on in this match. So all of a sudden, you get to number 13. On 13T, we're 3 down. We make a birdie. Scottie makes his first birdie of the day at 13. His first birdie of the session at number 13, and it's only good enough for a halve. Then J.J. Spaun makes his third birdie of the day at number 14. That's only good enough for a halve. Scheffler birdies 15. Jon Rahm answers with a birdie. Yep. Only good enough for a halve. On 16, Scheffler makes birdie again. He's kind of coming alive. Makes up no ground, and the match ends, and it's 3-2. We birdied as a team the last 4 holes and won 0 of them.
Yeah, the definition of too little, too late. Jon Rahm, I've mentioned this before. I did not cover Tiger in his prime. Jon Rahm is the most intense golfer I've ever seen in person. He just stares a hole through you. He is, Rory is much more, he's looking around in the crowd and he knows what's going on. And Scottie Scheffler is, of course, more jovial and more laid back. Jon Rahm is the most intense golfer I've ever seen in person. And that was on full display for basically 12 straight hours today. He is 2-0. There's only 2 guys that got out of here with 2 full points. It's Jon Rahm and somebody we'll get to here in just a few minutes. But Rahm, to me, was the best player at Bethpage, and I'm not sure it was close.
I think that's a really fair assessment. And this is what I love. This is now getting back to the European strategy. Okay, so Jon Rahm, the best player on the property so far this week, gets paired with Sepp Straka, a guy who had a premature baby, hasn't been playing very well over the last couple of months leading into this. He's a guy you got a lot of question marks if you're Luke Donald. So let's put him in 4-ball with the best player, Jon Rahm, and go contribute, right? Go play a role. Jon Rahm is going to carry this team. There's no questions about it. You sprinkle in a birdie here and a birdie there, and you're going to win a point for Team Europe. It's brilliant by Luke Donald. And what happens? Well, I mean, in those last 4 holes, Sepp Straka made 2 of the birdies.
Yeah.
He made birdie at 14 and 16 to make sure that Scottie Scheffler didn't get to play another hole. So just absolutely brilliant by Luke Donald, and you're going to see this theme continue through the rest of the European pairings.
Yeah, somebody just said it like the math problem is it's not even a math problem. The strategy is this: you give your foursomes you get your 4 best pairings. That's what you get. Your 8 best guys, your 4 best pairings, and then in the afternoon you get the 4 guys who played the best and the guys who sat in the morning, and it's like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We do not need to overthink this.
Yeah, it's not hard to figure out, right? And again, I think in foursomes, because look, the Americans had a similar strategy in 4-ball, right? You got Scheffler, world number 1. I know he didn't win, but you're not going to sit him. You play him with a rookie and a guy who sat. Bryson played some pretty good golf in the morning. Not great, not good enough, but you're going to play him again. He gets a rookie, Ben Griffin. Justin Thomas played in the morning. He's a veteran. You rely on him. You put him with a rookie who sat in the morning in Cameron Young. And then Patrick Cantlay you put with not a rookie, but another guy who sat in the morning in Sam Burns. The Americans had a similar strategy in the afternoon. The problem is the first part. Take your 8 best guys and you make your 4 best pairings with them. And that's what Europe does time and time again. And turns out 4-ball tends to be pretty even.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm going to jump ahead to match number 3 here because this ended very early and did not get back across the road, Greg. That was Cam Young and Justin Thomas absolutely demolishing Ludwig Åberg and Rasmus Højgaard. In fact, the Europeans did not win a single hole. Cam Young looked great. Justin Thomas looked good. And JT was chief cheerleader and crowd pumper-upper around Bethpage. This was by far the most decisive victory, by far the loudest United States crowd and juice, and just this is what you hope to get when you're the Americans playing 4-ball.
Yeah, and when you look if you look through previous matches in 4-ball, you got to make it's like 7 birdies to win. It takes usually 7 birdies to win. They made 8 in 13 holes. Now they play Ludwig Åberg and Rasmus Højgaard. They only make 2 birdies between them. That's why it ends up being a rout. But there's clearly the firepower there. Cam Young makes 5 of those birdies. He makes putts. He drives it great. He's very comfortable with the course and was unafraid of the moment. So I was so impressed with him. And Justin Thomas hit some sensational shots too. The one at number 5. That's the Justin Thomas kind of iron shot you expect to see in a Ryder Cup. Right up over the tree. Brad Faxon thought he pulled it, and it ends up, a foot right of it.
Right.
It was fantastic and kind of vintage JT. And that's just the little sprinkle in there to add on to what Cam Young is doing, because he was a big boy running hot.
Big boy was running hot. Yeah, save some of those holes, gents. You could have spread those around a little bit to your teammates. So that is the first full point for the United States in the afternoon. And then it will end up, spoiler alert, being the only full point for the United States in the afternoon. Match number 2, we get the beefy ones, the Benny Booms, Ben Griffin and Bryson DeChambeau going up against Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose. This was the group that brought a lot of emotion. We saw Ben Griffin just going, he gets excited. He gets everybody all fired up. And, of course, we know what Bryson DeChambeau is going to do. This goes the distance, Greg. This was a very, very competitive match. We saw, you mentioned this earlier, Ben Griffin makes a bomb for a birdie, and then Justin Rose drops one right on top of him. It was a big, big moment. It feels like Rose has the ability to just kind of snatch victory or snatch a half a point from defeat. And this was a very compelling match that went all 18, but the Europeans did solidify it at the end.
Yes, it was a good match, and Bryson played very well. Ben Griffin wasn't great. He had a tough stretch in the middle there. From like 4 to 12, he only hit 2 greens. One of them led to the big moment at number 7 with the really big fist bump. But then at the very next hole at number 8, he hit it like 40 yards right of the flag up on top of the hill. So that was a little disappointing. He didn't have his best stuff. Came up big with a couple birdies on the par 5s, which were only good enough for halves, but important for the team.
Right.
Bryson was solid and intense and clearly wanted it, but it was just too little too late. Like Justin Rose, look, this pairing's wonderful as well. Mm-hmm. Last time around, Justin Rose was kind of shepherding around rookies and young guys. This was a different animal because they only have one rookie.
Yeah, and it's Rasmus.
It's Rasmus, who we may not see again.
Yeah, we might not.
You got him out there today with some cushion, with 3 other really strong pairings around him. You had a question mark about Justin Rose, who's been very boom or bust this year. Well, what do you do with him in 4-ball play? Well, you stick him with your second or third best player, who's also, they're great friends and great mates. And Tommy Fleetwood's playing as good a golf as anybody. You stick those two together, and now you got a great team. And it's just like the RAHM and Hatton match. Fleetwood makes 5 birdies, and Justin Rose sprinkles 3 on top of them, including a birdie at the 18th, and including the putt he made at 7 to answer Ben Griffin. Those are the kind of moments where that's what you need from your veteran here.
Yes.
Fill a role. He does.
I was describing this to Patrick at some point today. Justin Rose will not be all that good for the vast majority of the match, but he will hit 3 or 4 shots that decide holes, whether they win holes or he gets a half. And just he will find those shots and he can summon those magic beans, and it's all good. And he goes alongside Tommy Fleetwood, who I mentioned this earlier. There's only 2 guys with 2 full points. Jon Rahm is one. Tommy Fleetwood is the other, Greg.
Yeah, and it's not hard to see why, right? He has one of his best seasons ever on the PGA Tour. He's been, for his career, a great Ryder Cup player, but he's only gotten better. He's clearly taken another step. And you start to look around this team room in Europe, and you see the leaders, and you have a collection of them with Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm and Tommy Fleetwood. When you have those 3 guys, you have in every session, you are very tough to beat because Europe will play I don't know if they'll have to, but they're not afraid of playing those guys 5 times. They're all on their game. They're all focused and on a mission. They will all do whatever it takes to win. And you give them an opportunistic partner like Justin Rose. You give Rahm a guy like Sepp Straka who becomes opportunistic today, and you give Rory McIlroy his best friend Shane Lowry. All of a sudden, you got 4 teams in every session, at least 3 teams in every session, where it's like, I don't know how we beat them.
Well, that's a perfect segue into the main event of the afternoon. Patrick Cantlay alongside Sam Burns, new pairing there, and Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry. And this was phenomenal. We walked this group in from 14. The American squad was 2 down. They win both 12 and 13 to square this match. And then it was nothing but tied holes the rest of the way. But don't mistake that for boring golf. We saw Sam Burns hit a couple of great shots, make a couple of putts. We saw Rory McIlroy make a couple of very big putts. And then just when you thought you were going to get another big moment on 18, Greg, we got 3 very good looks for birdie from Lowry, from McIlroy, and from Burns that all went begging for the full point, and they end up each getting a half.
Sam Burns didn't make a play until he absolutely needed to at 17. That was a huge shot, a huge birdie, to kind of play a role for Patrick Cantlay, who made 5 birdies on his own ball, and it should have been 6. We missed a 3.5-foot putt at 14 to win the hole, and he gave one to the Americans there after he birdied 12 and 13 and 10. So he went birdie, par, birdie, birdie, and he hits it to 3.5 feet on 14. Things are rolling. Patty Ice is on fire, and he misses it, and it kind of took the wind out of our sails. But fortunately, Cantlay made another typical Patrick Cantlay putt at 16.
Yeah.
Rory answered, and then on 17, Rory rang the bell again, and Cantlay makes or Burns hits the shot that I just mentioned.
Okay, this is hot off the presses. I do not think you have seen this just yet, Greg. So, Mina, don't show it yet because I'm going to make Greg guess with this. So, long story short, we are 5.5, 2.5. At literally moments ago, the foursomes for Saturday morning are out. Greg, I'm not going to make you guess on all of these, but what do you think we might get? More of the same? Are we going to get a little bit of chaos? Are we going to get these guys sticking to their plans?
I think you got to. I think the Europeans will stick to their plan. I think you have to mix things up if you're the Americans. I wouldn't go too drastic. I mean, if it were me, I would put Bryson and Cam Young together. Okay. I would put Scotty and Henley together again and reverse the holes. I'd put Schauffele and Cantlay together, obviously. Okay. And I'd put I think I'd put Morikawa out there with Spaun.
All right. Well, listen, you're about to be the Ryder Cup captain, or at least you should be, because I think you nailed nearly every single one of these. So show it, Mina. Here we go. So the Europeans, as Greg mentioned, are running it completely back in a different order, but these are the same exact foursomes. Fitzpatrick and Ludwig now going out first. Remember, they beat Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley 5 and 3. Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood going out again together. They're going out in group number 2. Jon Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton, who led off on Friday. They are in the 3rd match together on Saturday. And then Robert McIntyre and Victor Hovland are anchoring again. So absolutely right, Greg. The Europeans have done nothing but the same. Also, absolutely right, Greg. And Bryson DeChambeau is going to be the emotional leader out of the gate this time alongside Cam Young. Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are together. We've got Russell Henley and Scotty Scheffler back together, and we've got Collin Morikawa, but you do not get your wish. It is Collin Morikawa and Harris English. So as I look over this is a swap of Cam Young for Justin Thomas, and everything else is exactly the same.
Yes. Cam Young for Justin Thomas. Everything else is the same.
It's the only change.
Look, if you believe in your plan coming in, then I totally understand it. I was a little worried that this situation was setting up for panic, but for Keegan Bradley, he believes in his guys, and I think that's the message. Hey, we believe in our plan, and I certainly understand that. It's really good to get Cameron Young out there. I said Morikawa and Spaun. I don't think J.J. Spaun demanded a spot today. I don't think Sam Burns demanded a spot in foursome. I don't think any of the guys on the bench demanded a spot in foursomes. But I do think Cameron Young did. So that makes sense. And given this situation, which is dire, I get this. But boy, these matchups don't look great.
So if you're Captain Gregors and you're in the team room tonight, that is the message? Hey, we believe in our plan. We are going to trust the plan. Cam Young earned his way into this lineup for tomorrow, and we are just going to do to them what they did to us.
That is the message. I'm saying, hey, Scotty Scheffler, you're the number 1 player in the world. Go play like it tomorrow, please. I'm saying to Collin Morikawa, we need you to step up here. Harris, it's time to go make a play. There's no question about it. It's just it is now time to go and play and prove why you made this team. And Bryson and Cam Young, go light the place on fire right away.
So again, doesn't this feel like, yes, yeah, this is the plan, but if the plan is bad, what we're doing is we're just doing the same exact thing that we lost 3-1 today.
This is why it's so important to be optimal early, because you can't predict Matt Fitzpatrick and Ludwig Åberg being a total buzzsaw. Like crazy things happen. And so you have to put your four best. There can be no sacrificial lamb. Unfortunately, with Morikawa in English, it feels like one. That's the issue.
They are also getting McIlroy and Fleetwood again.
Yes.
That's the same. That is
the outcome of that already.
Yeah. The rest are different, right? Yes, the rest have swapped, but we
now your second best team, or the only team that won in the morning, gets RAHM and HATTON. There's just nowhere to hide against these Europeans.
Dude,
tough spot.
This is a tough spot. Well,
you got to get out of here 2-2.
Yeah. Well, our friends in the desert have now, as you can imagine, installed Team Europe as the favorite to win the Ryder Cup. -165 to the United States, +190. Let me see if I can get. These have probably not been updated because I don't see matchups out yet. But the U.S. is a slight favorite to win foursomes tomorrow. That might change when these matchups get factored in. But yeah, you cannot. I mean, if you lose in foursomes tomorrow, this is effectively over, right?
I mean, let's say you won 4-ball 4-0.
Yeah.
You don't want to lean on that, but that would give you 6.5 points. And then what are you going to get? Can you
1.5?
So you could win if you got 4 points tomorrow. You'd be at 6.5, which you've won from 10-6 before.
Yeah.
So you probably need to come away with 5 points tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get to 7.5. That would be what, 5-3. It'd be 8.5, 7.5, and you'd have a chance. Got to get 5 points tomorrow.
Got to get 5 points tomorrow, doing the same thing you did today to get. You got to get twice as many points, doing the same thing, and maybe in a worse situation.
Switch Scotty and Henley in their order, and that team can come alive.
Yeah, again, I think there were probably like 3 self-inflicted wins that just didn't make any sense, and that could have been if that's worth 1.5, which it might be, they're still the favorites to win this.
Yeah, and you just can't. The Europeans don't make they have the screws tightened down. And you have to match them with the data on the computer before the match starts. And if you do that, you have a chance. If you don't, you better hope that the New York crowd just goes crazy. Like so I don't even want to talk about the fans. They're great. You do not make decisions to get the fans involved. Like if you win matches, if you win holes, the fans are going to cheer. Doesn't matter who it is. The difference between a Bryson roar and a Patrick Cantlay roar in a Ryder Cup is unnoticeable to me. So I think it's a big mistake to make decisions based on emotion.
Well, Gregors, this time tomorrow, we'll have a clearer picture of what is going to happen for the final result of this 45th Ryder Cup. But are there any final thoughts, anything that we missed tonight before I sign off and go to the media shuttle and sit in traffic for the next 2 hours?
No, you go sit in traffic and think about what we've done. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll do just that. I appreciate it.
I will spare you. But it's look, I get where we are. I don't get the reasoning, but hopefully they can turn the tide tomorrow, some way, somehow.
8 more matches on Saturday. We'll have a clearer picture. Big thanks to producer Mina. She does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme is available at The Real GFD. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This is the second cut. Catch you next time.